Welcome back from the rest hold, everybody. It's time to get into our special feature main event of the night. We haven't done a top rope list in a while, but it's pretty simple. It's a list. There you go. Now you understand it. Let's break it down a little bit more. You can do pretty much top anything. It depends on who wants to do what. You can do top 150, 25, whatever. But we usually keep this around top 5 or whatever. At least we do top 3. That's where it boils down to. And those are essentially bottom rope, middle rope, top rope, bronze medal, silver medal, gold medal. You know how that goes. So, since WWE has been taping a bunch of stuff in England, I figured why not go with something in that regard, because I couldn't think of anything to go with Extreme Rules. We already did that best stipulations thing last year, and man, didn't want to do that again. So, United Kingdom, best wrestlers from there, favorite wrestlers from there, however you want to classify that. That's what our top rope list is going to revolve around. And what do you guys think? You think we should go person to person, or you think we should go rank to rank?
We should all count to 3, and on 3 we all shout out our least person at once.
Our least person?
Or least.
This person is my least person.
Least favorite on the list.
Well, I have a top 5, but I'm only going to do my top 3. Because if you want to know the other two...
top 5 as well.
If you want to know my other 2, you can do that on the Smark Moment page itself. Convince you guys to go read that a little bit. But, you got a top 5, Sean?
I do, yeah.
What do you have?
You go first then.
I'll go first then. Number 5.
It worked.
Number 5 is a fellow countryman of mine, which is Rob Terry. He won the Global Championship at TNA. He's the only Welsh.
Is that the World Championship, or is it shit?
That's the one that they rebranded several million times before, I don't know, Abyss won it. So, fuck those what happened to that. But yeah, Rob Terry
Title needs to be thrown in the fucking Abyss.
And Rob Terry only lived half hour away from me. So, not too shabby. Number 4 is
that makes him good.
Number 4 is another fellow Welshman, which is Mason Ryan. He's from Cardiff. So again, only half hour away from me. And he didn't do much in WWE. I remember him for the Royal Rumble, that big ass giant Royal Rumble where they had 40 men. What was it, 40 men or 30 men? 40 men, yeah.
40.
Yeah, where he's teaming up with the New Nexus. And I like the spin on that. That was pretty good. The way everybody eliminated everyone. Well, protecting Punk, number 4. No, I said
number 4.
I've lost count on. Number 3, Magnus from, again, TNA. TNA World Champ. The only British, English dude to hold a World Championship. Yes, it's the TNA belt and nobody counts at WWE. But it's still made news in this country that he's the first ever World Heavyweight Champion. So it is what it is.
Isn't that crazy that no other people have won? You would have thought by now somebody would have.
Especially my number 2, which is Wade Barrett. I like Bad News Barrett. I really dig. I liked it when he debuted for the Nexus and he was doing that thing with Cena. It's a shame Cena, then they push him more to the moon. I think the run with Cena also cost him his place on his injuries. God, his injuries. He was going to win that Money in the Bank, wasn't he?
I would say so.
Yeah.
And my number 1 is William Regal. What is there to say about William Regal that hasn't been said over on Tony's website?
I was going to say, you couldn't say what it's been said here. You're the first one to talk.
Yeah. So go and read a page full of William Regal's bio, and you'll see why he's my number 1. Dude's a legend.
Who wants to go next?
I'll go next. Boo. I have a top 3 plus an honorable mention. I know top 4. There we go. Well, no, because it's not really in order. The honorable. Okay, number 4. My honorable mention. I know Wago doesn't agree with this, but I'm going to say Paige. She's only been on the main roster a year, but she's really impressed me in that time. And with AJ gone now, and other NXT divas still waiting in the wings to be called up, I think Paige, in my opinion, is the most entertaining and athletic diva currently on the main roster. She was good on NXT where she held the championship. She's had 2 Divas title reigns in the main roster in her first year, and she's definitely has not peaked yet. You know, she's got a lot more to bring. I'm looking forward to that. Number 3, I know this will probably rate higher on most people's lists, but the British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith. While I wasn't really watching when he was in his prime, I had the chance to go back and see some of his matches. Incredible look. He had the moves. Definitely an icon. The 92 match where he beat Bret Hart for the IC championship. You know, he was in feuds for the world title, even though he never won it. But that doesn't diminish what he did. His tragic passing, you know, no one can deny what a massive impact that he had on wrestling, though. A lot of people would say he's probably number 1 or number 2, but the only reason I didn't rank him higher is because I wasn't able to see him in his prime. I wasn't watching then. Number 2,
about that 92 match with the SummerSlam. He was fucked up on cocaine during that match. Apparently, it was like one of the few Bret Hart matches where he didn't call it in the ring and they planned it out beforehand. Like, he was totally shit-faced.
It doesn't surprise me.
He's like, fuck after parties.
Number 2, I agree with Sean. Wade Barrett, or Bad News Barrett as he is now. You know, he won the first season of NXT, leader of the Nexus. Immediately after he debuted on the main roster, he's feuding with some of the top talents like Orton and Cena, and that really says a lot that they put him in that position so quickly. Barrett's great on the mic. You can't deny that. He can generate plenty of heat from the crowd. I love his current gimmick. And if you think we've seen the last of him, I'm afraid I've got some bad news. Which brings me to number 1. I'm going to agree with Sean on this one. William Regal is my number 1. He's one of the longest tenured talents in the entire company right now. He never did have a world title run, but you know he had held many other belts. He held the tag team title a few times, the Hardcore Championship, I think, the European Championship, the IC title. He won King of the Ring. So he has a lot of experience, a lot of things under his belt in that respect. He's a valuable trainer and talent scout now, which, you know, he's super valuable to the company. But my favorite part of his career was when he was the commissioner, because I thought that was a really good time. And he's always been good in the ring, but I think the commissioner role really let his personality shine through the best. So I'm going to make
Tajiri. That was great.
Yes. Oh, yes. Regal and Tajiri. So I'm going to make Regal my number 1. I agree with Sean.
Way to go, Peyton. Who's up?
I'll take it. So, first off, I'm going to stick to guys that made it to the big time because I know a shit ton of independent UK wrestlers that are ultra talented, and I think it'd be unfair to really rank them until their careers pretty much, or like, closer to the finality of it. As far as the top guys that I've got, number 5 is going to be Doug Williams. He was very good on the UK circuit. He had a lot of good matches with in TNA as a part of the British Invasion. I felt that Magnus improved a shit ton from working with him, and WWE really should consider bringing him in as a trainer because there's a wealth of experience and knowledge that he can provide. Number 4 is Bad News Barrett. Not much to say other than ultra talented, and if they ever want to give him a main event rub, I think he'll do very well. Hailing from Scotland is Drew McIntyre, and this guy they totally fucked up on. He had it. There's no reason he couldn't have been a main eventer and a WWE champion, in my opinion. Even when he had nothing to do, he still tried something else with 3MB and tried to make something of his career, even if it meant just fucking randomly diving out onto a table.
He's like, fuck that table.
Yeah, like, awesome. I never understood that, but McIntyre had the mic skills, he had the in-ring ability, and I always liked his finisher. It was essentially a double-arm DDT, except the way he threw his legs was a bit weird, and because of his body type, the move looked fucking sweet. So, number 2 for me is William Regal. William Regal, fantastic in-ring wrestler. He's old-school British chain wrestling. I fucking love it. As a character, probably one of the most underutilized, and that's saying a lot considering WWE did a lot with him at times. His King of the Ring run, I felt, would have led him to a WWE title had he not got popped for drugs. And his commissioner role is one of the... He's probably been the best commissioner they've had. He was just funny. The whole thing with Chris Jericho taking a piss in his tea and stuff was great. My number 1 goes to the British Bulldog, because out of all of these guys, if I had to say which one overall I consider a big-time main eventer, or could have been, would be British Bulldog. He had everything that you needed. Sure, he wasn't the most crisp and technical sound wrestler, but Since when's that ever been criteria for being a headline guy? So, British Bulldog totally deserves it. I really wish they gave him a title run. He's had a great tag team career with some old fucking asshole that doesn't deserve the light of day. And sound career, his life was cut short too early.
All right, Peyton, what's your list?
Well, number 3 on my list goes to a British diva, but not the one you think. Number 3 on my list, I am actually going to give to Layla.
Chubby legs.
Layla, actually, I think is one of the most underrated divas they've had in the last 10 years. The moment she came in as part of the Extreme Expose, I thought she was one of the standouts of that. I really did not give a shit about Kelly, who was the one they were trying to push hardest out of all that. She had a fine wrestling career for herself, most notably as the tag team of Lay Cool. Mm-hmm. They did the whole thing where they split the belt up. That was a unique thing they did with the Divas title that they probably done nothing similar before or after. And I think she's had a very fine career for herself. She's pretty much on the sidelines now. They did some weird things with her last year where she was Fandango's dancer. I could have dealt without that.
She just returned, actually, to the ring.
Did she?
Yeah, just this week she wrestled her first match in, I think they said, 7 months or something.
Good for her. I think she's one of those divas who can help teach the next generation and be around on the road to help them learn the ways, the ways.
I think she could be a really good asset for non-wrestling capacity. I still think she'd be a perfect fit for hosting the Diva Search.
Sure.
I can see that.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
She did win it, so she got experience though.
Number 2, I'm going to give to the British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith. Very, very big star, especially throughout the early and mid 90s. Not so much in the late 90s. He's the only reason I wouldn't rank him higher is because he had some really weird days. Not even talking about the drugs necessarily, but the whole jeans era of British Bulldog.
Oh, you heard about the British Bulldog that got rock bottomed onto poo?
Yeah. Yeah. That kind of brings it down a little bit in my view.
That's the only British Bulldog I knew, Les.
But British Bulldog also played a very instrumental part in the Summer of Shawn, which is what got me into wrestling. So, I mean, there's no way I can't count him in there. I remember him being represented by Jim Cornette. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And even before that, the guy's done so much stuff. So it's hard not to recognize him. And it's a shame we didn't get to see more of his influence onto the next generation. Harry Smith, I thought, seemed like he had some talent there. Unfortunately, he just ended up being a pawn for their new wellness policy. Is there any? No. That's Natalia's Neidhart's kid. So I guess he's got no other influence. His wife was kind of hot, except she had total resting bitch face.
Yeah.
That's the best way to describe that. I never figured out, that would be the best way to describe it.
To describe Diana Smith's face. Yes,
that's true face. Though. Like she was that she's kind of hot, but there's something else. It's that resting bitch face. It's true.
Number 1 for me, I'm going to be echoing what a lot of other folks here said. William Regal. It's total shame this guy did not get to do more in his career. Not to say he didn't have some weird days to the whole man's man thing. But the fact that he was able to take that and continue himself through a further career just speaks volumes about the guy's talents. In ring, behind the scenes. I mean, this guy understands wrestling logic far more than 90% of the roster there right now possibly could ever hope to. The guy is excellent in front of a camera. I mean, he's done commentary now. He was the commissioner, which has been said. I mean, if you have any knowledge of the last, well, I guess it's been a long time now, but the late 90s Attitude Era through the early 2000s, if you have any viewing knowledge of that, you knew how awesome William Regal was, and you are better for it. One of the people that I have to say is topping that list, not the very, very top, but in the top 5, I would say that it's a shame never won a world title. And I would put Bulldog in the top 10 of that list as well. Shame that he never won a world title. But William Regal is going to be top in mind for me.
And anyone who wants to learn more about Regal, his story is fucking amazing. Go check out his Colt Cabana's podcast where he interviewed him. It's some of the best fucking wrestling talk out there.
It's a crazy story, and just his journey with WWE, like how he's been in and out of the company so many times, and all the people that have had his back along the way, and he's pretty much a lifetime employee there now, whether he's doing commentary or doing something with training, whatever he is. I hope he's not tough enough.
He was a really ballsy guy because like he was given huge opportunities in England and turned them away to pursue his dreams in the US. The guy is just class act all around.
Did any of you guys read William Regal's book that came out in 2005?
I did not.
No, I didn't even know he had one.
I didn't either until I just Googled it a second ago. It's called Walking a Golden Mile, and I'd be interested in reading that.
Why does it sound like a Lifetime movie?
Yeah, well, it doesn't have anything to do with him.
Sounds similar to Junkyard Dog's book, and I've heard that's pretty interesting. Paid another reference.
So my list here, as I said before, 4 and number 5 are on the website. You can go ahead and read those. But my number 3, my bottom rope, is going to be William Regal. As Sean said, a lot of things echoed here. I do think he's overrated to an extent. That's why I didn't put him at number 2 or number 1. He's the type of guy where I prefer his stuff outside of the ring to his ring work. And I know that he's a good wrestler. I mean, clearly he's a good wrestler. But I think he's an even better trainer than he is a wrestler. His feuds and stuff, like, I don't know, the thing that stands out to me the most is his character in general, whether he's being an asshole and you're supposed to take him seriously, or he's just being, like, the comedic asshole. Both of them are great. I love him as the commissioner kind of role. Like, I'm so glad that they have him as the general manager of NXT. Because they could have gone with so many other people and it wouldn't have fit. He makes perfect sense to be the general manager of NXT. So while I don't think that he's as amazing as a lot of people do, I would never give him that, like, you know, top 10 wrestlers of all time kind of a thing. I do think that William Regal is far and above worthy of being, you know, in this top kind of list. 2 is going to be Bad News Barrett. I think he has been screwed over a lot, and they are underutilizing him massively. He could have won the world title years ago, and I would have been totally fine with it. And I think he would have done a damn good job, too. But for some reason, they decided that they didn't want to go that route, and instead they wanted to just kind of have him flounder around for a while. But what did he do? Instead of getting all pissed off and leaving, or just kind of eating it and being a jobber and going nowhere, he creates Bad News fucking Barrett, a dumb character.
And he goes back in time and hires Michelangelo to chisel his abs.
Totally silly gimmick, and it gets over like fucking gangbusters. And then they are forced to push the guy. They still don't seem to be willing to push him as far as they should, but no matter what, he still ends up being a popular guy. And I think that the only thing that's holding him back is WWE willing to not hold him back anymore. So if he ever wins the world title, totally deserved. He should have won it before.
You say that, but in like hindsight, I think if he had won the world title, he still would be in the same position he is now. And we'd look back at his world title reign as a Dolph Ziggler title reign. I'd rather he just earn it. White means more.
But you know what? I think if he would have won that, they wouldn't have fucked up so much with the Nexus. Because they just botched that whole thing. When they split it up and they gave it to CM Punk, then they made the core, and, you know, they had a perfect, just basic storyline. Just make it to where they turn on him and turn him a babyface. He was popular at that time. He could have been a babyface champion. Or they could have just had him be the champion with the Nexus, and, you know, really.
Well, also, there's a point you're missing. Back then, he didn't have a beard, and he looked like a douchebag.
That's true. Yeah, that's when he had the rose.
Do you remember when he fucking shaved his beard off, or got his beard shaved off by Daniel Bryan? He looked like a fucking freak. I hate baby-faced, babyface, yeah, but he looks fucking awful with no
He does look better with the beard. Mm-hmm. Not many people, I think, look better with beards, like, definitively. He's
like, is significantly, like, it's night and day.
Yeah, if you look at Wade Barrett now with the Michelangelo abs and the beard and whatever, this is the best he's ever looked. And this is probably, you know, the second best that he's ever been as far as the company for, like, the hierarchy. He's in a good spot now, and I think he'll do even better. Number 1, though, is going to be British Bulldog. Davey Boy Smith is a part of that time frame where I really got into wrestling, like Peyton had said, the summer of Sean. That's when I took wrestling from a casual thing to something that I legitimately loved. And,
Nerd.
sucks to be me. But yeah, he was a big star at that time period. He wasn't the best on the mic. He wasn't the absolute best in the ring or whatever, but he was the British iconic character in my mind. And whenever anybody mentions anything that has to do with the United Kingdom, I immediately go to that theme song and him coming out with his fucking tassels and the stupid ass braids, which thank God he got rid of that crap. Because he looked the best he ever looked. Speaking of the whole stupid jeans era, was around like the 97 time frame. He is a great reason why the Hart Foundation kicked ass, because he was like the muscle other than Neidhart, but he was better than Neidhart. And,
everyone's better than Neidhart.
Brian Pillman was better than Neidhart.
No, Bulldog was definitely the muscle. Neidhart was the wall.
Neidhart was the fucking goof.
They just rolled Jim Neidhart down the ramp to slow them down. Something you mentioned, Tony, like, as far as, like, iconic British wrestlers, there is really only one. As someone from England, and when you think about British wrestlers, he's the only guy that you go, oh, remember the great British wrestlers like British Bulldog and
I mean, he's got a British in his name.
That's not fair. He has British in his name.
Okay, Dynamite Kid was a part of the British Bulldogs. I don't give a fuck about him.
Yeah, because British Bulldog was a selfish asshole and took the name.
No, WWE was selfish assholes and took the name.
That would be kind of like if Jimmy and Jey Uso go off and it's like Jimmy Uso and Jay.
They might end up doing that.
But yeah, British Bulldog, he's definitely top of my list. That match, SummerSlam 92, probably the highlight of his career, and it's a shame that he screwed a lot of things up with his drug habits, because he could have gone a lot further. And it would have been really cool to see what he would have done with this current class. You know, we could have had the people like the Kurt Hennigs and the British Bulldogs and all those guys that we lost. Fuck, imagine like a Bam Bam Bigelow and, like, you know, the type of people that we would be thinking about right now training people. Bulldog would have been a really cool asset for that, I think. So, drugs suck. Don't do them. But Bulldog, definitely number one in my ranking. Should have won some more titles. Could have been a world champion, and I would have been down for that. Nonetheless, didn't. But top of my list, he gets the top rope gold spot. And everybody went. Yeah, okay. So tell us what you guys think. You want to do a top rope, middle rope, bottom rope, or you want to do a top 5, top 10, top 50, whatever? I don't know if you'll be able to think of 50, but if you want to throw in some people from the Indies or from TNA or whatever like that, whatever you guys want to do, who's your favorite people from the UK that have been in the wrestling business? Leave those comments below. Tell us what you think about our lists and everything else like that. And we're going to come back with one more discussion for the end of this show about Extreme Rules. Stay tuned.